All right, let's move on to this thing. Let's get this kicked off. So, hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar on how to use AI to customize and further personalize your SmugMug website. My name is Caden Carlson. I'm a senior account manager here at SmugMug, and I'm joined today by two fantastic colleagues, Seth Salpan and Oliver Williams. These two will be supporting throughout today's session by answering questions and helping me stay organized. Now, combined, Seth, Oliver, and I have nearly 50 years of experience helping photographers scale their businesses and optimize their workflows using SmugMug. We focus on helping photographers, from hobbyists to high volume studios, maximize their SmugMug experience through strategic partnerships, work optimization, and legendary support. Please drop your questions in the Q&A as we go, and Seth and Oliver will make sure to address your questions either privately through Zoom or publicly at the end of the presentation, or even following up after the presentation via email if we're not able to get to your question during this whole point in time. All right, with that out of the way, let's get started with a couple of housekeeping notes. Firstly, as you all probably noticed, this presentation is being recorded. This is our second time giving this presentation. We hosted the same webinar earlier this week, and we'll be sending everyone that registered for either webinar the recording along with the resource hub tomorrow, Friday, May 30th. Now, the recording version you receive will be the best of the two presentations. Now, we will be using the Zoom chat throughout today's presentation, today's session, to share additional resources. These might be help pages or anything else that we might find useful for the whole group. Now, for your individual questions, as I said earlier, we kindly request that you use that Q&A feature built into your Zoom rather than the chat. This is going to help us stay organized and ensures that Seth and Oliver can provide you with the best possible answers. Now, this is, like I said earlier, this is our most subscribed webinar ever. So if for some reason your questions don't get answered live, we will, and we run out of time, we'll follow up with you via email. And if you place your questions in the chat, we will not be able to follow up via email in that case. So keep that in mind. All right, housekeeping's out of the way. Let's get started with something I think you're all going to find incredibly valuable. So over the last several months, I've invested significant time creating a resource hub specifically for this presentation and for SmugMug users. I've developed 8 fully prompt engineered, ready to use website elements that can be implemented directly into your SmugMug site. These aren't rough templates or starting points. These are polished, one-shot solutions that I've refined through extensive testing to get as close to perfect as possible. Now, whether you want some event cards for mini sessions, rotating testimonials, an interactive FAQ section, or maybe a print size visualizer, it's all here with complete code and customization instructions. Now, you can access everything right now by scanning that QR code or by visiting the link. And everything we create in today's session builds on the techniques that were used to develop these resources. So after the live demo, we'll explore the whole resource hub in a little more detail. All right, so here is our roadmap. We'll start with a quick introduction to AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. Then I'll share the SmugMug AI Blueprint. This is a 4-part formula that, when followed, consistently delivers high-quality results. Next, we're going to compare good prompts and bad prompts so that you can see the difference clear and detailed instructions make. I'll give you just enough HTML and CSS basics to understand what it is you're working with, and then we're going to cover critical SmugMug platform guidelines to ensure that the things you create using AI actually work on your site. The highlight will be our live demonstration where I'll build a custom pricing table in real time from prompt to published feature on our SmugMug demo site. And then we'll wrap up with reviewing the resource hub and sharing troubleshooting tips. Now, Here's the reality. AI tools are transforming how we work. I personally believe this is for the better. I believe we're seeing the biggest tech shift since the internet itself. And today we're going to try and keep things as focused and practical as possible. We're specifically looking at how to use AI to generate HTML and CSS code that when added to your SmugMug website enhances it. Now you want to be thinking custom banners, service cards, or other branded elements that reflect your style. Now we need to set a couple of expectations up front. These AI tools are evolving incredibly fast, and your results may vary as you're learning. Once you understand the right approach, you can consistently get high quality results. Now today, I'll show you how to generate web elements that can immediately be applied to your SmugMug website using a replicable process designed specifically for photographers. Now this formula helps remove the guesswork and gives you a clear path to success. By the time we wrap up, you'll have a new set of practical skills that you can use right away. All right, let's get started. Let's break this down simply. AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini are basically like having a really smart sidekick. You give them instructions, they follow. They're great at writing, researching, organizing, creating images, generating video, graphics, and even generating code. Think of them as your creative assistants. Like any assistant or employee, they're only as good as their training and their leadership. So, as you all know, the AI landscape is moving incredibly fast. And what we're covering today isn't tool specific or platform specific. These techniques work across not all, let's say most. These techniques work across most major AI platforms capable of coding. Now, I've personally tested with both ChatGPT and Claude AI, but feel free to take what you learned today and experiment with the other tools and platforms. A couple of practical things you just want to keep in mind. Each chat with AI may return slightly different results. In fact, you may experience the AI hallucinating. It may by taking liberties or making things up. Do not hesitate to start a new chat if things go off the rails or if you just need a fresh perspective. Next, OpenAI's ChatGPT offers an account that's fully capable of coding. All of the platforms have paid plans also, usually starting at around $20 a month. And the paid plans will give you access to longer chats and the most up-to-date models. But if you're new to AI, start with ChatGPT, use their free account, and then just go from there. And then iteration. Work back and forth with the AI until you get what you need. Don't be afraid to tell it when it got something wrong, how you want something changed, because at the end of the day, it's a guessing machine. So help it guess correctly by working with it. But ultimately, what makes the difference? It's going to be your prompting approach, which brings us to the formula I use every single time. Now, this is the SmugMug AI blueprint. This is a 4-part blueprint, delivers high quality results nearly every time. So when you work with AI, make sure that you include the SmugMug context. Set the stage with a clear mission statement. I'm customizing my SmugMug site and need your help creating a testimonials carousel that showcases client reviews. Then you want the platform limitations. You want to define the technical boundaries up front. SmugMug only supports HTML and CSS. Do not use JavaScript when you generate code. Then element specifications. Detail exactly what you need built. For common elements like a testimonial carousel or section, a basic description may suffice. For custom features, do your best to explain the functionality in detail. What will users see? How will they interact with it? And what information should be displayed? And then lastly, the style guidelines. Paint a picture of your visual preferences. Include your brand colors. typography guidelines, such as the fonts and headings, describe the layout preferences and the overall aesthetic that you're aiming for. The order of these elements, it's not critical. What matters is including all four parts in your formula, in your prompt. This ensures the AI understands exactly what you need and the rules it must follow. Now, here's a little power tip. Modern AI tools are what we call multimodal. This means they understand visuals as well as text. You can upload pictures, screenshots, mock-ups, or even rough sketches to dramatically improve your results. A simple hand-drawn diagram can often communicate your vision more effectively than paragraphs of description. Now, we're going to apply this blueprint in our live demonstration to show you how quickly it transforms ideas into working code. But first, let's kick it over to Seth and Oliver, who have been answering your questions in the background. Starting with Seth, is there anything you want to highlight here or bring up to the group before we compare prompts?
I just first want to say thanks so much, everyone, for being here. We've continued to grow the attendance as we've started. So if you joined us a little bit late, no worries. Caden is going over a lot of this blueprint. We're going to get to that in some more detail momentarily. But if you have questions, please feel free to use the Q&A section that you'll find in your Zoom control panel. That may be at the bottom or the top, depending on how you have your layout set up. But use that so Oliver and I can see your questions and answer them there. Again, because some of you joined a little bit late, we may not have time to answer all your questions because there's so many of us here live, I should say. But if we don't get to your question, we are going to follow up via email to make sure that you do get a response to your question. So feel free to continue using that Q&A section as much as you need. Oliver.
Speaking of the Q&A, I've been busy in there clacking away on my keyboard trying to get to as many as I can of these early questions. They're all really good and on point so far. Um, some of them I may hold until the end if I need to do a little bit more research and then follow up by email. But definitely everybody's going to get a reply either here live or by email afterwards. Just keep them coming. They're all really good questions so far.
Perfect. All right, thank you, gents. All right, let's kick this. Let's go over and look at what a good prompt versus a bad prompt is when you're working with AI. So starting with a bad prompt example. Make me something cool for my SmugMug. This prompt fails on multiple levels. It's vague, provides no technical constraint, and offers virtually zero design direction. While AI tools might create something and perhaps it will be quote unquote cool, they'll make assumptions that likely won't align with your vision, or worse, won't even work with SmugMug's platform. A good prompt example. I'm customizing my SmugMug website. SmugMug only supports HTML and CSS, no JavaScript. Please generate clean code for a testimonial section with name, quote, headshot, and use soft corners and light colors. Notice how this prompt includes all four essential elements. Context, customizing the SmugMug website. Platform limitations, include HTML and CSS only, no JavaScript. Element specifications, a testimonial section with specific components like name, quote, and headshot. And then the design direction, use soft corners and light colors. Now, this isn't a super detailed prompt, but it gives the AI everything it needs to hopefully succeed. Now, the AI has a clear parameters to work within and enough specificity to deliver useful code on hopefully the first attempt. All right, let's cover just a couple of things as to why AI-assisted customization is a game changer for photographers and specifically those who are using SmugMug. First, it dramatically lowers the barrier to professional quality designs. Most photographers are visual artists. They're not web developers. So with AI tools, you can create elements that previously might have required hiring a developer or spending many hours finding the right YouTube video or trying to learn to code. Second, it gives you a competitive edge. When potential clients are comparing photography websites and services, custom elements can make your site stand out from some of the others. Third, it can improve conversion rates, drive more sales, and simply better communicate your brand and value with your visitors. And finally, it saves you significant time. What might take hours to code manually can be generated sometimes within seconds or even minutes. This means you can spend more time behind the camera you love and less time behind the computer. Now, this process is elegantly simple. You describe what it is you want using the blueprint approach. The AI generates the code, you paste it into SmugMug, and that's it. So let's cover just enough HTML and CSS to help you feel confident in using this code. Starting with the HTML. Think of HTML as the structure of your website. It's like the blueprint that tells the browser, here's a list of customer testimonials. Here's a pricing table. Here's a contact form. HTML defines what elements appear on your page and in what order. The words, the links, and the placement all live in the HTML. CSS is all about style and presentation. CSS controls colors, fonts, spacing, animation, and the overall visual appeal. CSS takes the structure from HTML and makes it look professional and on brand. A helpful analogy is to think of your SmugMug site like a house. HTML is the foundation, the walls, the rooms, the roof. It gives it structure. CSS is the paint. It's the furniture, the lighting, the decor that gives it personality and style. When you use AI tools to generate custom elements, they'll create both HTML and CSS code that'll work together to deliver, hopefully, exactly what you need. Now, the beauty is that you don't need to understand every line of that code to use it effectively. All right, let's move on. And let's look at what happens behind the scenes when you add custom code to SmugMug. Understanding this workflow helps make the process just a little less intimidating. So on the left side, you can see the HTML and CSS code you'll generate with AI. This defines both the structure and the style of the custom element. The middle shows SmugMug's HTML content editor, where you'll paste the code in. And on the right is the final result as it appears on your published site. The process, again, is pretty straightforward. Generate your code with AI, copy it, paste it into the HTML block on SmugMug, preview it to make sure it looks right, and then publish. That's it. Now, one important tip that will help save maybe some frustration and time is whenever possible, try and always use SmugMug's preview mode before publishing. This gives you a chance to spot and fix any issues that might be with the code before publishing it to your site live. It takes just a few seconds, but prevents those awkward moments when something doesn't display correctly on your live site. Now, when you're in preview mode, I suggest try resizing your browser window to test the responsiveness. Make it tall and narrow, like a phone, or wide and like a desktop computer. Now, if something doesn't look right, simply describe the issue to the AI, and it will generate updated code to fix the problem. You'll copy the code, replace the problematic section, and repeat until everything hopefully works and looks right. This is the iterative process that makes AI such a powerful partner in customizing your site. Now, before we dive into the demo, let's clarify the key platform guidelines. The most important thing to understand, and you've heard this already a couple of times, is that SmugMug supports HTML and CSS for custom elements, but JavaScript is not allowed for security reasons. SmugMug's default mobile breakpoint is 736 pixels wide, meaning that the default content blocks automatically resize and adjust when viewing on smaller screens or devices. Adding this detail to your AI prompt ensures your custom elements resize as well. Now, for elements designed for custom pages, keep in mind the default page width is fixed at 960 pixels. You can either design within these limitations or adjust your page layout settings to stretchy for a more flexible layout. We'll review this setting in the live demo here shortly. Now, this is precisely why our AI blueprint approach is so valuable. By clearly communicating these limitations up front, you avoid wasting time on features that won't work on the platform. Here are a couple of phrases that you can include in your prompt to get improved results. Starting with, SmugMug only supports HTML and CSS, no JavaScript. Gone over that one a couple of times. Here's another one. Make responsive code with a mobile breakpoint at 736 per mobile devices. Ensure the code works across all browsers and device sizes. Use modern semantic HTML elements for better accessibility. Optimize CSS for performance and efficient loading times. Validate and test the code to avoid any errors or issues. These are all phrases that AI understands. Now, these limitations might seem restrictive, but HTML and CSS alone give you tremendous creative freedom to build beautiful, functional custom elements. And with the help of AI, you don't need to be an expert or hire a developer. You just need to know how to chat. That's really it. All right, now we're getting to the good stuff. You've learned the theory behind our approach, so let's see how this translates into real results. I'm going to walk you through the entire process, writing a real prompt using SmugMug's AI blueprint formula, generating the code with a free version of ChatGPT, and implementing the code the AI provides into our demo site. Now, for this demonstration, I'm going to create a pricing table that showcases photography package. This is in a visually appealing way. This is one of the most requested custom elements among SmugMug users because attractive pricing displays can significantly impact conversion rates. All right, and with that, let me kick it over to my demo. There we go. Am I on the right one? Nope. Let's do this one. There we go. All right, Seth, can you confirm with me? You got the demo, got GPT.
We do not yet. We were just seeing your face still.
My face, actually.
Well, yeah, your little icon.
It does tell me. We ran into this yesterday as well. It tells me I'm sharing. I'll do it again. Share. And this one right there.
There we go.
Okay, good. Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
All righty, folks. So first things first is I want to show you where the HTML content block lives, because that's what you're going to be using when you put your code from the AI into SmugMug. So content blocks, when you're going to add content blocks, they're always added through the customizer. So we would access customize design right here. And our suite of tools opens up on the right. And I want you to, we're in the content tab right here, right? There's 4 tabs: content, theme, background, and layout. In the content tab, under add content blocks, these are the different types of content blocks that can be added to your site. We go to the very bottom, there's HTML and CSS. So I'm going to expand that out. And the one you're going to use is going to be this HTML right here. We drag it onto the page, we release, and up pops the parameters that we're supposed to put in, the code. Now, what I want you to notice is that there are 2 tabs here. There's an HTML tab and there's a CSS tab. When you work with AI, you may find that the AI gives you the HTML code and the CSS code in a single block, combined into one thing. You can do one of 2 things. If it gives it to you combined, you can put it all into this HTML tab right here, or you can ask the AI to separate it and say, hey, I'd like the HTML separate from the CSS, and then it'll reprocess and you can paste the HTML here or the CSS there. But know that if it gives it to you all encompassing, it can all go right into this HTML one. Okay, so that is where you'll find the block. Now I'm going to leave the customizer here because where we're going to build this is actually going to be on a custom page. And so in order to do that, we need to create the page first. So I'm going to access the organizer. So click organize, the very top. And then with the site homepage, or the top level of my hierarchy selected here, I'm going to select create and then web page. Now we're given some options here. This is the About Me one where we have a couple of layouts to pick from. I'm going to toggle over to custom because the custom option has virtually no content blocks on it. It does come with a breadcrumb content block, so we'll remove that, but it doesn't have anything else. So it's the easiest starting point if you want to start from scratch. So I'll click next, and next thing we want to do is name this. So I'm just going to name this page photography packages. All right, there we go. And you can see we're instantly transported into the customizer, back into the customizer for this page specifically. So there's that breadcrumb that I was talking about. If I hover over it right here, breadcrumb, we can see it highlights. So that tells us that it's on the page. And because it's in teal, right, it's highlighting the same color as this right here. That tells me that this is just on this page. This breadcrumb is unique to just this page. So let's go ahead and remove that block because I want a fully blank page. So what we'll do next is I'm going to go down and grab that HTML content block that we are going to use. I'm going to drag it onto the page. And we always place our content blocks in the highlighted area, right? So we need the arrows to show up before we release our mouse button. So I release, and there it is. So now we're going to toggle. I have another tab up here for ChatGPT. Notice this is, I'm logged out. This is chatgpt.com. This is the free version. I should highlight that if you sign up for ChatGPT or you pay, you will get much faster coding and it'll be a lot quicker. This is going to be a little bit slower, but I want to emphasize that this can be done on their free account like that. So let's start with the SmugMug context. I'm going to copy this and let's bring it over. So I'm customizing my SmugMug site using an HTML content block. Your job is to help me by generating high quality HTML and CSS code. Perfect. Next, let's outline the platform limitations and rules. SmugMug only supports HTML and CSS. Please avoid any JavaScript in your solution as it won't be supported. Make responsive code with a mobile breakpoint at 736 pixels for mobile devices. And then I actually added this just recently. Add comments to the end code as we progress so that changes can clearly be labeled. So if we go back and forth with the code or with the AI now, it should leave comments in there showing us what it changed, which can be helpful as we iterate with it. Next, we're going to put our element specifications. So let's bring that over. Help by creating a display of 3 photography packages: basic, premium, professional. Each includes session time, number of digital images, and outfit changes. Highlight premium as the most popular. All packages should display side by side in a horizontal layout with a light background. And then, some of these were kind of a little bit of the design elements. Remember, the order isn't super important. It's more about including everything. So this last one I have is a little bit more on the design direction. And that is for the design. Oh, here it is. We have colors, light background, blue for the most popular, fonts, the layout, and then the vibe. So let's just process this. Let's see how it goes. I'm going to hit go. And here we go. So it's telling us what it's going to make. And it looks like it's combining both. So in this version, we're going to get HTML and CSS in one block. I want to point out that this style right here, as it works its way through, this style is representing that it's the start of the CSS. So at the end of the CSS, we're going to see the same style, but there'll be a forward slash just before the S. And so as we work our way through, we can see it's created these little elements. And these are, again, the aesthetics of the site. So if your package card, if you're like, oh, I love the way that it did this, but I want the padding to be a little bit smaller, change the padding values. You can adjust the width. And so it's clearly showing you what these are for. There's the comments as well. So if we scroll all the way down, we get all the way to here, we can see that's where the CSS has now ended. So from this, all of this section here is the CSS, and then the HTML kicks off right here. And that's where we actually see our words. Basic, there's our pricing, the line items for the different items of the package, and we can see how it's working its way through. So with that, I'm just going to click copy. We'll go back to here. And since, again, it gave me the HTML and CSS in one code block, I can paste it all just right here. Now, we won't see any changes until I click done, but upon that, it did. So there we go. So that's okay. It's kind of weird with the gray background there. We can also see that this is stacking on top of itself with, I could probably want all three next to each other. That particularly is part of that page layout that I talked about earlier. Notice I went here to this layout tab, and we can see right here, the layout is set to fixed. Every page that you make, the default setting is fixed. You can switch this to stretchy though. We can switch this to stretchy, and like that, they go next to each other. And stretchy just means that it's going to be dynamic. It's going to stretch across depending on the size of the screen. You can see how it stacks okay right there. So I think our main piece of feedback for the AI is that the text is hard to read, right? The package details are dark font with a dark background behind it. So let's iterate on that. Package, and I'm never good at typing while I'm live, so forgive me there. Package details are using a dark font, and the background is also dark. Use light background and ensure the text is black. All right, we'll process that and see where it goes. I could probably have been more descriptive, but for the sake of time, we want to keep this moving along. And I'll highlight again, if you are on a paid plan, or probably even just the signed up version of the free plan here with ChatGPT, this will move a lot faster than it is right here. So we can go through and see this is a very light gray, the background color. So that might have been what was affecting it there. We've got allows stacking for small screens, so that's good. Still processing through. This right here, folks, this is the when we talk about the mobile breakpoint, this is the code that it's including to make sure that upon 736 pixels wide, the element changes to fit the screen better. And then that's it. So let's copy and see if that made the change we needed. So we can really just select all and replace it. Oh, looks like we got the same version. So let's see if we can do this manually here. We can go in and actually look. Background color. Is this the one? That's the card. Background title, details. Let's just try it one more time and reemphasize. Wrong. There we go. Let's just make sure it knows that it got it wrong. There should be no dark gray at all, anywhere. Now, in my version, if I was doing this not as a demo, I would have probably shown a screenshot to it. But because this is the free version and I'm non-logged in, I'm unable to attach anything. So that would have been probably a more clear way to do it. But for this demo purposes and to ensure that you all have access to this, I wanted to do it on the most simple, basic version of ChatGPT possible. So we're getting to the bottom. We just wrapped up our CSS. Hopefully this addressed it this time. Maybe that's it right there. And then we've got the HTML. And this is also just what happens when you do live demos. There we go, much better. Okay, so 2 iterations it took to get there. But we've now cleaned it up and we've got a decent little packages showing, right? So the next step here is I want to add something else. I want to add a title at the top and then maybe our company information. So let's go back to here and let's do that. I'll paste this in. So perfect. Add a centered H1 header above the package section with the text photography packages And below the three packages include centered an elegant call to action section that says book your session followed by our address and our phone number, and then implement a subtle hover effect to enhance. So let's see how that works. So it's now going to reprocess that, and we're going to get a whole new version of HTML and CSS, and we're getting our little summary first. So there's our style again. Looks like it's picking up. It's actually doing a little faster, probably because it knows what it's working with. Individual package cards. Again, folks, these are comments that are there to let you know exactly what these little pieces of code do. So back on your site here, you can make your own changes also. You can change these values. We can say, let's look at this one, maximum width, right? 320 pixels. If I change this to 220, notice how they all just got a lot smaller, right? Not as wide. So you can make live changes and see how they look on your site and make little tweaks as well. Let's kick back over, see if this is done. Looks like it is. We'll copy. Now let's make the update. See if it did it. Paste. Oh, did it give me the old code? Or am I scrolled up? Looks like it did. Oh, brought it in, and what I would probably do next is I would scold it and tell it that it re-added that dark background underneath, but everything else looks good. I'm happy with how this all kind of came together. It added the book your session at the bottom and included the address and the phone number. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this. Again, just a quick iteration there on the background, and it would be pretty much good to go. If we preview here, we can also see, and this is what I meant earlier when we were talking about, you want to see how things stack up. This would be the tall, the tall version, like a phone, like if you're viewing it on your iPhone or your Android, and this would be more like a desktop view. So one more little tip that I want to let you guys know about here when working with AI. I have one more prompt that I want to give it, and it's really about summarizing what it is you've worked on. Chats with AI, they have a certain amount of context that they can work within. And you may find that if you're chatting back and forth for a long time, it begins to forget things that you talked about at the very beginning. And it's all about that context window. So sometimes it's really wise to stop when you've accomplished a bunch and you wanted to kind of create a comprehensive summary of everything that you've accomplished. So asking the AI to do just that and have it, detail the element details and the style choicing, the key features, and have it turn it into a reusable prompt that you can then take and apply down the future. So in a perfect world, if this reprocesses correctly, it should give me, it'll give me the prompt and the details that we just talked about. And I'm hoping that I'll just be able to take this once it's done here, and goal, perfect. Look, it gave everything, gave us pretty much the formula. So we'll take this and we're just gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna do a whole fresh chat. Paste that in, let's just see what happens. See what happens with ChatGPT's version of prompting itself to create what we worked on previously. So it's working through. Again, it's put the style, put the CSS in first. We have all of our sections. Soon we will get to the mobile breakpoint here. There's the CTA. So that's CTA stands for call to action. We got all of that, H2. So these are headings and the paragraph sections. Okay, there's our container. There's our style. We're almost done here. There we go. There's our HTML. So we'll copy this and let's just see what this does in a one shot with its summarized version. Like that, remove it, paste. Slightly different, not quite as clean as the other one, but it's all right. Again, we're gonna need to tell it that the gray dark background needs to be resolved. But that's the iteration process, folks. That's how you do it, is you go back and forth. So that is it for the live demo portion of this. I'm going to kick off one more quick poll, and then we're going to jump into exploring the resources here that I made available for all of you. So with that said, let me find the poll. And there we go. I launched it right there. So it's a 2-question poll. The first bit is, how's this presentation been? If you guys can please let us know, has this exceeded your expectations? You had an idea of what you might learn about today, but is it blown it out of the water? Great. Has it met your expectations? Do you feel like, yeah, I've totally learned what I thought I was going to learn and I got something to take home and work on? Or do you feel as though this needs a little improvement? You know, you're not going to hurt our feelings. Like I said, this is the second time we've given this presentation, and I think this one is going ever so slightly better than the other one, and will only get better from this point. And then there's a second question in there really quick. It's just a little kind of gauge. Do you actually anticipate implementing AI related changes into your SmugMug site in the next 30 days? And that would love to see that as well. So I got 90% answers and 65%. I'm going to keep it open for, how about another 5 or so seconds. I'd love to get that up to 70%. There we go. There's 70. So I'm happy with that. Let's go 5, 4. Still moving though. You guys are still answering. 3, 2, 1. All right. Perfect, folks. Thank you so much for participating in that. I'm going to go ahead and close this down here and actually just kick over to the resources hub. So Seth is, and I think he already did. Yep, perfect. I see it in the chat there. Seth just posted in the chat. It's also part of the slides that we've been showing here today and the QR code, all of that. They all lead to this published page here. And this is the resource hub that I've made available for you all. It starts off with the AI, the SmugMug blueprint. And actually, I think we're going to have more information. I've updated this since I've refreshed this. So let's make this a little even better. There we go. Yeah. So we start off with the AI blueprint. And then down here, when you guys are viewing this page, you'll notice this little copy right there. You can copy these ready to go. All you do is you fill in your feature name or element for the purpose and function. Same thing with your limitations. This one's actually probably not much to fill in. You can just copy it though. But for the element specifications, I've included a bunch of things in here that you can be aware of. Not to say that you need to include all of these, but these are keywords and ideas that you can use in your phrasing for your prompt to get better and different results. And the same thing with the design direction, right? We have clean, professional, playful, elegant, bold, different font styles, light tones, blue highlights, jewel tones, minimalist, black and white. So these again are ideas that you can use to see different results and different design aesthetics as they come through. The next section of the resources is what I've put the most time into and that I really sincerely hope that you guys find value in, starting with the event cards. I've made 3 different types of event cards. And this is just a little screenshot to show what they are and how they're different. There's a more complicated one, there's a simpler one with a single button, and then there's really just an informational one right here. And so the way this works is you're going to open up either card 1, card 2, or card 3. There's a view on SmugMug button. So clicking this will actually take you straight to a SmugMug website to where you can see this in action. Now, the join webinar or join waitlist, this isn't wired up to anything. You would wire that up to a link to your own wherever you wanted to send people. But you can see on SmugMug how this is functioning. We go and we take a look at card 2. It's very similar, just slightly less details. And then the same thing with card 3, even more simple. Now below all of this is another section. Notice the copy button right here. And at the top, you have the prompt. I've built the prompt for you already. The changes that you want to go through and make the change to adjust to make it yourself, right? These might not be your gardens and you might have different dates and you might not be doing cherry blossom portraits. So adjust to fit your photography and your business. Below is the HTML code and CSS ready to go. So there's that one, and those are the cards. Next, rotating testimonials carousel. You can see this is a little GIF to kind of show how it works. Let's go see what it looks like on SmugMug. So it clicks, and then 3, 2, 1, rotates out. We have a new photo and a new testimonial. 3, 2, 1, rotates out, and we have another one. So looking back at the code here, we open this up, you can see it's the full prompt at the top and then the code below. But notice that this one, I have it set up so you can put your client name in, their testimonial, and a link to their photo. If you wanted to add, maybe you have 6 testimonials you wanted to show, copy this, paste it into your prompt, add the 3 more and fill it out and tell it in the instructions that you've now have 6. And it'll make the changes so that it rotates through 6 instead of 3. It's all about iteration, folks. All right, that's the testimonial section. Next is what I'm calling the flashy services package display. This is kind of a more polished version of what we did in our demo. This one has, let's look at it on SmugMug. You've got 5 packages with one that has the most popular tag over it. We adjust the screen size. We can see that they stack on top of each other real nice, and they adjust for mobile. And so again, these are all as close as I possibly can get to ready to use for you. Looking at here in the code, here's the packages you just want to fill out with your own prices and your own details. Notice this right here. This is something I learned in this process of doing this. In order to make it so that you get as close to this as possible, I added these bits here so that when the AI responds in its first response, we do not want it to change the structure or the layout for the first response, only to update the specific elements. So this is going to help ensure that long as you just fill these things out, it's not going to take liberties into changing all of this extra CSS and HTML to what it thinks it should be doing. So that's a little pro tip there for prompting, is sometimes if you want to rinse and repeat things using a piece of code, you can tell it to not tell it what to alter specifically. And then this is one of my favorite ones, actually. This is what I'm calling the photography services journey, or service journey. And let's view this one down here. Excuse me. Let's view this one on SmugMug. And you can see it's got 6 different parts to it. The booking day, a couple weeks before, a couple days before, the session, a couple days after, and 2 weeks after. So if you want to manage expectations with your clients, with your customers, and let them know what the process is when they work with you, you might consider adding one of these to your page. When we come back here, you may only have 3 steps to it. So make that adjustment within the prompt and remove a couple of these steps, and you can make it work for only 3 of them if you'd like. And then the last one here, and that's, no, not the last one. We've got the FAQ. So let's look at that one real quick. Pretty simple. It's just a little FAQ with a question. If you click it, it expands down, gives you the answer. You click it again, it closes. I think if we click a different one than the one that's down, the top one will close. No, we can open multiple. So there we go. So this is just a nice little FAQ that shows and works to, answer people's questions. And then the last one, for sure, this is the last one here, is a print size visualizer. This is just to kind of give customers an idea of how big something is. These print sizes when they're, compared to a common sized couch. And so this one, just like the others, is I got the code ready to go. You'll want to switch out the link here with a photo of your own. And obviously, when you do that, you'll want to pick a photo that it matches these same ratios well, right? You don't want to pick a square or a panoramic ratioed image for something that's showing on these very standard sizes. So upload that photo to your SmugMug account. I recommend into a site assets gallery, or a section of your site where you hold on to photos or logos, graphics, things that you use to build your site. And then you want to get the direct link for that. That can be acquired through the share panel. So you click on the image and you click the share panel and then the little embed option. And you just grab that link and put it into the code, or tell this prompt to switch it out, and it will replace the link, which I think is this one right there, behind all of these. So That's the print size visualizer. And then lastly on this document, we've got just a troubleshooting checklist, just to, if something you get just doesn't quite work, you want to see, is there JavaScript in there? Did ChatGPT or the AI make an assumption that that JavaScript can be used? And so if you see script in there anywhere, then it won't work because it's JavaScript. So you'll want to reprocess that. Like I just said, replacing image paths with your own, using the preview mode, and then the dev tools. If you right click and you inspect things inside of Chrome or any browser, you can also use those tools to kind of help identify different sections of your site and then speak to the AI about what it needs to change, those actual elements. You guys here live already answered this, so don't have to worry about this one, but anyone that just registered for the webinar and didn't attend, we're hoping that they also let us know about their usage of AI tools with SmugMug. You will find the recording right here. This will be starting tomorrow. I'll update this page for the recording. You'll also get it in your email. And the slides from today's presentation are also right here available for you to view. And then just some common support things as well. So we've got features. If you want to submit a feature request, watch some tutorials. This leads over to our YouTube channel on just some basic how to use SmugMug, not necessarily in the AI world or the customization world, but just some basic how to use SmugMug videos that we've created over the years. Our email support, so if you want to reach out to our team, help@smugmug.com is how you'll get them via email. The support center, which is smugmughelp.com. And then a little shout out to This Week in Photography, our photography podcast hosted by Frederick Van Johnson. If you're a photographer and you love podcasts, I highly recommend you subscribe and give it a listen to. And that's it. That's it for the resources page here, folks. I'm going to stop my presentation here and let Seth, let Seth kick it back over to the part that he has.
Thanks, Caden. Are we sharing? What are we doing here?
Share 17 of the key takeaways.
Oh yes, let me go back. There we go. Hopefully I'm taking over.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Key takeaways.
Yeah, we got that up right. Perfect.
Perfect. Cool, guys. So this is pretty much where we've made it to the end. We've learned how to use AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude to prompt. I've provided you with the SmugMug AI blueprint, that 4-part formula that hopefully delivers as consistent results as possible. We talked about what HTML and CSS are and how they work on your site. HTML is the words and the things, but CSS is the aesthetics. How does it look and feel? We went through our live demo. We prompted and went back and forth, iterating, working on our element. And then we talked about some troubleshooting and explored the resource hub. So again, there's that QR code up again for you guys. If you want to take a picture of this and save that, it's right there. I'm going to come back on the video and just make sure you all know real human over here, not an AI delivering this presentation. I think this went really smoothly. I'd like to give Seth and Oliver an opportunity here to highlight some questions or any things that they want to go with. Let's start with Oliver this time. Ollie, is there anything you've been tackling back there with the questions that we want to highlight for the wider group?
Sure. A lot of big good questions in there. My fingers are going to be sore after this one. Seth and I got to most of them in the live Q&A, but we're definitely going to be doing some follow-up work afterwards. So if you didn't get a reply just yet, look for one within the next 24 hours, and it should be in your inbox. One question that kept coming up a few times this week on Tuesday and then again today was folks were looking for information on how to train the AI to mimic their existing website look and feel. To do this, we've got a couple of good options for you. You can teach the AI all that you have to do, all that you have on your existing website. We have some recommendations for you to do that. First would be to take a screenshot of your existing website and then upload that to the AI model. Then within the text prompts, you can add details from the existing page CSS. If you right click on your web browser and click View Inspector or Inspect Page, you should be able to view the existing page CSS and then copy and paste that into the AI model. And then it can read all the goodies and bits and bobs and colors and fonts and sizes and spacing and all that good stuff. So that way you can train it to mimic exactly what you have there on your website. And then if you have specific images that you want to upload for these different elements, if those already exist on your SmugMug website, you can right click on those photos, click Open Image in New Tab, and then copy that browser link into the AI model, and it should be able to implement those directly into your gallery, into those design elements for you. So that was one of the popular questions that came up. I just wanted to make sure it got surfaced to the wider group in case you were shy about asking, so that everybody could know where it is.
Awesome.
But we're always there, help at smugmug.com. If you didn't get your question into the Q&A in time and you have follow-ups to ask, we've got a big, fat, healthy team ready and waiting to answer your questions there too.
Awesome. Thank you. What about you, Seth?
Real quick, just a shout out to a lot of people that had some great suggestions on potential webinars and some maybe advanced AI stuff. I wanted to let you know that we do have some additional webinars coming up that you may be interested in. I just dropped that into the chat there. What's new? We're going to cover all the things that have been coming out from SmugMug, enhancements, updates, all those things. If you're interested in that, join there. And then for those that are selling your photography and would like some more information, there were a number of people that were asking about this as well. We do have some sales-focused AI webinars coming up in July. So a little ways out, but take a look at those, get them on your calendar now, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. I know we are at time, but maybe, Kaden, if you do have a second, one that came up, which is makes a lot of sense if you're new to customizing your SmugMug site at all, is some people were wondering, where do I find the HTML and CSS content blocks so I can add this code that the AI has generated for me?
Yeah, we want to review that again? We can do that.
Yeah.
Let me take over the share
Oh, yeah.
again. Yeah, so we can review that one again real quickly. So let's go to our demo site, and the
You're not sharing yet, Kaden.
this is so weird.
I
Don't
see you sharing over here, but you can try again.
Okay.
Oh, I'm just seeing your video.
Interesting. Maybe you have something else selected.
Maybe. There we go.
I think it's because I took over from you.
Ah, yeah, that would make sense.
Okay. So anytime you're customizing, you need to be in the customizer. And we know we can get to the customizer through the customize design button. So anywhere on your site. So we click that. And then the content blocks, right? All content blocks are found under the content tab. And we add new content blocks under add content blocks. The very bottom of the add content blocks list is HTML and CSS. There are two content blocks in here. There's an HTML, and we drag that on, and it has two tabs, HTML and CSS, so it encompasses both. This CSS block, we didn't really get into this much, but this block here only takes CSS, and this is more designed for if, let's say there's an element on SmugMug that's part of our platform, like a button content block or your navigation menu or a logo or something that we have a content block for, but maybe there's not a setting or a parameter within the settings to make a change that you would like to make. You can use AI to find and the CSS to override existing CSS already on the system, and you would just put that in here. But if you're making something fresh with words, with buttons and content itself, you're not just tweaking an existing element. If you're making something brand new, you'll be wanting to use the HTML content block. And then, like I said earlier, if the AI gives you HTML and CSS in the same code block, it all goes in here. If it gives it to you separated, because I experience it both ways. It'll separate it sometimes, it'll include it the other times. If it has it separated, HTML goes here and CSS goes there. And that's where you find it. And for one more pro tip here, we didn't get into this, but this is more on the theme. For those of you that want to get even deeper, there is the ability through the advanced tab, the very bottom of the advanced tab in your theme, there's the custom CSS, and there's a little edit section. And so when you add CSS to the theme, it's a little different because it's a wherever that theme is applied is where that code will kick in, versus a content block is only going to work where the block is placed. So since this block, I just placed it on just this page, any code added to this block would work on only this page. Whereas if I was to have added a CSS content block, say, you know, to, yeah, let's do it here, to the entire site, any code that I put into here will affect that element across the entire site. So there's our couple other little nuances to adding code, but for most of you, for today's content, the main one you'll be using is the HTML block right here, and just adding in both of those. Cool. I'll leave it right there. What is there anything else we want to highlight?
I think most of the other questions that I responded to in particular were a little bit more individualized. Great questions nevertheless, but I'm trying to think if there was others that we should surface. I think that is a useful one because some people, again, haven't really used a lot of HTML or CSS in the past and just didn't know that that's possible.
Yeah, I'm just giving a couple of shout outs to like Kyle. Kyle said, this is great, well worth the time. Hope to see these types of seminars and webinars continue. Excellent add value with my hosting subscriptions. Kyle, thank you so much for saying that. We've got Gareth saying thanks for this. Bunch of you, this is great. Nathan, thank you so much. This is awesome, guys. So thank you so much for participating with us today. Beth, thank you for the info. Hey, Beth, thank you. Duncan, awesome. There's still more than 150 of you in here, which is so cool. So thank you so much for being here today. We will let you all enjoy the rest of your beautiful day.